Coming up today, we have big tariffs on pharmaceuticals and copper. Trump is planning tariffs on semiconductor chips, which means stocks like Nvidia, AMD can go down because of this. Amazon isn't really looking too good with their Prime Day and or we can call it the Prime Week. And the US debt is at record high. What does this mean for the stock market and the overall certainty? All that being said, man, let's get started. Let's hope that everybody has a good trading day. Let's hope that you guys have a great day as well. So first off, we have Nvidia up 1% from yesterday. And honestly, that's the only big one that I've seen. Maybe ExxonMobil as well. We had oil price going up, but we have other stocks like Netflix, Google, and Broadcom down in the red. Amazon as well, like we're going to talk about a little bit later, and Walmart. So it was a choppy day yesterday. Traders didn't really know which way they wanted to go. The bulls came in, bears came in. We had a little battle. With that being said, look at that 618 level to the downside, because that's a level that if it gets out, that means that we might get a bigger move to the downside, as well as a 624 level to the upside. We might look a little bit more bullish if we can break past that 624 level. We're consistently bouncing off that 620 to that 622 level. We did get a high of 622, but we were really bouncing off that 621.5. With all that being said, you could have made some decent plays off that 620. But for today, when market opens, depending on how it opens, I will recommend looking at that 620 to that 622 level. Because if we can break upwards, we might see a little bull move. And if we break below, we might see a little bit more of a bearish move. And next level to watch to the downside, look at that 618 level. If we bounce below that, we might fall down even more, fill some gaps back down, maybe that 616.5 to that 615 level. To the upside, if we do start going up past that 622, look at that 623.5 and then at 625. And then, of course, that 627 level. If we can break above that, look at 630. If you guys want to up your knowledge on the stock market, start learning, and honestly become profitable, I made some courses below. Check out Trading 101. First link in the description below. I'm not even gonna lie, low key, Nvidia has been holding up pretty strong. We did have a little bit of a down day on Monday, but honestly, yesterday we got those gains right back. But personally, I'm watching that 161 level. If we can break above that, we can look a little bit more bullish and get to that 161.5, 162, 163.5, 165, and that 170 level overall. But Nvidia is holding pretty strong with all these tariff letters, and maybe if we see a pullback or a break, it might form a bigger move. With that being said, I'm watching if it holds that 160 level, and if we have room to that 162.5 to that 165 level. But if we don't hold, I'm gonna look for a pullback at around that 158.5 and maybe a greater one to that 155. And that's when we lose Nvidia to the bears. So be careful with Nvidia overall. But right now, we are still looking pretty bullish. And honestly, man, I'm personally not bullish overall on the stock, but I think we have some room to move to the upside. So we're getting a lot of news on these tariff letters and stuff like that. But Trump also came out talking about the letter sent out, saying that some will be sent today and potentially seeing trade decisions with 7 countries. Also confirmed that tariffs will start being paid on August 1st, 2025. And there has been no change to this date and will be no change to this date, meaning no extensions anymore. But some people are still saying that, it might still be a flexible date, just like we've seen with the July 9th deadlines. He said there's going to be no extension. And look, now we got an extension. With all that being said, this extension, he mainly made it so that, we maybe get a deal and or people just can brace for the impact basically. But keep this all in mind because this can really change where the market moves. We did get another extension, which is insane. We just keep on getting extensions. No deals, but extensions. We got some though. I'm not gonna lie. We got some deals, but honestly, man, I think it's just a back and forth game. I just can't wait for the tariffs to honestly just get placed. It's still a bad thing, of course, but once we get the tariffs placed, we can really see where the economy is going. So those tariff letters, yesterday he did come out, threatening a 200% tariff on pharmaceuticals. This will bring those stocks down. And honestly, this is just an insane number. He also threatened a 50% tariff on copper imports as well, which is honestly insane. And he hasn't really had a number come out yet, but he did threaten to put tariffs on semiconductor chips. So like I said earlier in the video, Nvidia, AMD, Broadcom, stuff like that, those stocks might drop because of this. But keep that all on your mind and on your radar overall. But with that being said, man, we did get some decent news. I don't know how true this is, but Chinese firms plan to install over 115,000 NVIDIA AI chips across 39 data centers. So honestly, I don't know how true this is, and I don't know where they got these chips from because of all the export curbs. But this might bring NVIDIA stock up a decent amount. I mean, especially, man, they're basically just shouting the video out. But also keep this one on your mind and on your radar. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but just wanted to kind of include this in the video in case it is. So we don't really have anything major today for July 9th, 2025, but we do have wholesale inventories, but we do have minutes, the Fed's minutes, FOMC minutes. So with Trump and others pushing for a rate cut and seeing other countries cutting rates like crazy, maybe we can see something more on the next rate cut or see how he's feeling overall. This can have a shift on the market overall. He is still in a wait and see approach for tariffs, and I don't think these recent letters are going to make him change his mind anytime soon. But feel free to comment down below how you guys feel about this and what do you guys think is going to happen during the meeting. But keep this on your radar because this can move the market, and it's at 2 p.m., 2 hours before the market closes. So let's talk a little more about Amazon and the Prime Day event. It is a little different. It's 4 days long when normally it's shorter. So we can see people maybe waiting to see for better deals, but the data does look pretty bad. I'm personally using this Prime Day as a time to load up on some things I've been eyeing. Are you guys as well? Comment down below what you guys are scooping up. But their sales dropped over 14% in the early hours from the 2024 timeframe. But like I said, it's a little longer than last year, so people are probably more patient with this one and maybe even waiting for more deals or something like that. So keep that in mind overall for this data. So we did see the debt hit a record high of 36.58 trillion for the first time since February, so it is still going up. And honestly, this might make people hate the big beautiful bill a little bit more, but honestly, man, we're not really fixing the debt and it's still going upwards. So keep that in mind too, because honestly, we might have some issues that we had earlier in this year later on in time, and this can move the stock market, but only when the issues occur. So this is something also on the sideline, but we have been seeing a lot more inside selling recently. But these were mostly pre-scheduled trades. You know, if they're not really scheduled, you know, it might show a little bit more bearish sense. But this is time where, you know, the CEOs want to take some profits and stuff like that. But they normally pre-schedule it so it doesn't look like insider trading. So don't make this seem like anything bad. With that being said, it is under the SEC compliant 10b5-1 plans, which are meant to avoid insider trading suspicion. But this is around like the last 3 months of like trades basically. But we do have Amazon, Nvidia, JP Morgan, Coca-Cola, Reddit, other ones as well. But I think the biggest one is probably Jeff Bezos selling $737 million worth, which is insane. But I just wanted to show you guys this chart. You guys can screenshot this if you guys want, but honestly, just wanted to include it. So one stock that we seen pop off yesterday is indeed Intel. Can we continue this, or are we going to fill the gaps back downwards? I'm personally looking at Intel. I'm going to be watching that $24 level and maybe get it up to like that 26 to 26.5. But please have your patience on this and see how it opens up. But this can be a good trade. Intel hasn't moved like this in a while. I mean, it kind of moves like a little bit, but honestly, if we can continue this rally to the upside, maybe we can see some good news with this. Another one that we've been looking at is BBAI. We did have a big buy yesterday, but early on sold off. Got all the way up to $8.72 and then sold off after that. So honestly, man, you might see this maybe go to the downside and or retest that $8 level and maybe break up some more. But Big Bear AI, I would have on your radar. And there are options if you guys want to trade some options, grow some balls a little bit. With all that being said, let's get to some supports and resistance. I already gave you guys some for the SPY and for the Nvidia. But with that being said, Apple, man, I'm not even going to lie. Apple isn't really looking too good. We are looking a little bit more bearish in the short term. But honestly, one day can really change it all. We can get a big gap fill back to the upside, back to that 215. But I'm going to personally have my own patience and only trade it upwards if it hits that 215 level and or if we get a good catalyst. But do watch that 215. If we could break above that, we can look a little bit more bullish. But honestly, man, I'm looking at that 208.5. If we break below that 208.5, we might look a little bit more bearish. And honestly, probably going down to that 207, 206.5 to that 205 level and maybe even break it back down and stabilizing at that 200 level. So please have your patience with Apple overall, but you can make a decent amount of trades, especially if you can break back up past that 215 and or if we make a break below that 208 level. Palantir, we have been making a little bit of a comeback. Like I said before, honestly, if you would have traded it down here, held it for a couple of days, you would have made some decent amount of bread. With that being said, do look at that 140. If we could break above that 140, look at that 141.5, 143.5, and that 145 level. Past that, look at that 150 to the upside. to the downside. If we do start selling off again, look at that 137.5, 133, and that 130 level to the downside for Palantir. Please have your patience with this one, though. Next one is going to be Tesla, man. Honestly, man, I don't even got to repeat the news. Everybody knows what's going on. But with that being said, to the downside, look at that 290, 285, 280, 275, 270. And then to the upside, look and see if we can break above that 300. We kind of did yesterday, maintained it, and then sold off quickly after. So if we can break above that 300, look at that 305 next, 310, 315, and 320 for Tesla. Bitcoin, man, Bitcoin's been very volatile. But if you guys want to get into the Bitcoin trend and trade the Bitcoin trend, MSTR, Coinbase, but I personally like to trade IBIT. It's a little bit more safer. You're not risking as much money on your option plays, and it moves exactly with Bitcoin. It's an ETF literally made to move with Bitcoin. But with that all being said, man, please take your time today. Don't FOMO anything, man. Just honestly have patience. Watch the news. I'm going to be coming out with shorts, updating you guys. Please subscribe. Let's get the 500 subs. We're so close to it. And honestly, man, check out those links in the description below to check out the courses. Thank you and peace out.